fans if they win tonight.
Oh, no.
Listen,
But I just,
Anything
Canadian
Canadian.
team,
The City of Champions final makes
especially an
sense again.
Albertan team.
I guess.
I hope they do
They
it
won't have to
because
take
One
First
point
London
into the
doesn't
start,
look for
folks.
it. Okay.
Yeah,
That's
we're
what
within a
I'm
minute.
so you got a minute to get your complaint
yeah,
in.
just don't look at my iPad.
Oh, he's watching the
Oh.
game.
You do know you can see that from that camera, right? I'll do that while I'll do that while you're being sworn in. We'll zoom in on your computer.
I didn't know if you needed the
You
original.
just, if they score well, you get it initiated as deputy, just go, yeah! Well, he's not so excited.
Well, it's 7 o'clock, so we'll call the meeting to order. Any additions to the agenda? If not,
Are we gonna bring up that
letter.
letter?
If we do, we should do it either in camera or at the end of the meeting.
What does everybody think? Opposed or?
You know, because we can do it at the very end of the meeting after.
Okay,
I just don't think it's something that we should
no,
publicly.
okay, I just wanna know who we're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's up to you guys. I mean, I'm open to.
I'm on board with the end of the meeting.
Okay.
I don't think there's anything we can do about it, going through this.
Well,
Anyway, we'll discuss it at that point.
Yeah.
So anything else for
I'd like to approve the agenda.
okay, so Lon moves the agenda as presented. Any discussion on that? Hearing none, I'll call the question in favor. It's carried unanimously. Okay, moving on to the council meeting of June the 10th. Any errors, omissions, questions? Go ahead, Cole.
I'd like to approve the minutes as presented.
Okay, thank you, Cole. Any discussion on Cole's motion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. Those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none? Call it carried. Okay, so now we'll move into the land use bylaw amendment number 1521-24, public hearing. So I will open the public hearing at 7:01, and we do have somebody to speak to the amendments.
Good evening. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Katie Schlamp and I am your planner with ORS. So it's nice to be here tonight finally to meet everybody and see you face to face. I'll just give a brief overview of bylaw 1521-24. It proposes to amend your land use bylaw to provide a number of updates which your Municipal Planning Commission and your Development Officer felt would be beneficial to the community as a whole. So the first amendment would be to allow previously occupied dwellings as a discretionary use within the R3, which is the country residential land use district. The district currently does not list it as a use, so an application could not be made for this use within that district. And it was felt that because it is allowed in the R1 district, we should allow that same opportunity in the R3 district. There are conditions that can be added to permits in these cases to ensure that the quality of the development and the character of the development matches the neighborhood. So the Municipal Planning Commission could add conditions if they felt it was necessary. Typically on a building like this, we would also get a report to ensure the quality of the building is satisfactory to move into Vulcan. So there would be some controls in place to ensure that not just any building is being moved in, particularly in this case it's a dwelling. And so this would be discretionary, meaning it goes to the Municipal Planning Commission, and as a discretionary use, there's no duty to issue the permit. The MPC could refuse it if they felt that it did not meet the needs of the neighborhood or the intent of the land use bylaw. So that's the first one. The second is to allow a child care facility to be a discretionary use in the retail, commercial, or C1 land use district. It was just found that this is not already a use in the district, so why not provide an additional opportunity for childcare in order to start a new business in that land use district. There was a note that there's no minimum floor area specified in the country residential R3 land use district, so the amendment does propose to add a 1,000 square foot minimum. Other districts have a 500 square foot minimum, but given the lot size of the country residential districts, the MPC agreed that 1,000 square feet was suitable for that environment. Additionally, we propose to decrease the minimum floor area for 3 and 4 unit dwellings and row house dwellings from 500 square feet to 800 square feet. That's to bring it in line with the single family dwellings in the R1 district, which is already at 500 square feet.
From 8 to 5.
From 8 to 5.
Yes, did I say it backwards?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Additionally, Schedule 4, Section 7.8, we have proposed subsection E, which specifies that recreational vehicles are not to be used as permanent living accommodations. This is already the case. Your bylaw does say it in a roundabout way, but it was felt that by adding this into the bylaw, it'll just clarify that standard for the community. And then lastly, we have proposed 2 distinct categories for solar. That would be ground-mounted solar and roof or wall-mounted solar. What the MPC has found is there's been a number of applications recently. You had a contractor go through town and drum up some business, and so there were quite a few applications that came to the MPC over the past 3 or 4 months, and it was felt that everyone was getting approved with the same standard conditions, and so perhaps it would be useful and prudent to switch to a system where the development officer could issue the permit as a permitted use. So as a permitted use, there is a duty to issue that permit. It means that council agrees that the use is absolutely okay within the district. So that is something to keep in mind. However, when it is roof or wall mounted, it is fairly benign. There are standards that is contained within the roof. It's not projecting over it, it's not projecting too high. So the development officer would still follow those standards, and if any unusual or atypical case came forward, she still has the ability to bring it to the MPC for a recommendation. If it didn't follow the standards, then of course she would bring it to the MPC to see if there was something that they would like to waive. So what I've done is by creating the roof mounted and the ground mounted solar, we are able to list each one of those uses separately within the district. And so what's proposed is the roof mounted would be a permitted use in all of your residential districts, both of your commercial districts, the industrial, public, airport, and the ag transitional zoning. The ground mounted is a little more limited. It would be your commercial, just the C1 district. And if you disagree, we can discuss that at second as well. And as well as your industrial, public, and airport land use districts. I suggest staying away from the ag transitional to prevent any large-scale solar, because the point of that district is to hold those lands for future development. So you wouldn't want to stagnate that development by having a solar farm there. However, you are welcome to disagree with that. The proposed amendments were reviewed by the Municipal Planning Commission on May 14th, 2024, where the MPC did pass a motion to recommend council adopt this bylaw to amend your land use bylaw. If you choose to give second and third reading tonight, the bylaw will come into effect. However, prior to doing that, we are holding this public hearing. You're welcome to hear from the public and consider that feedback before giving second or third reading. If you'd like to see any amendments prior to third reading, I am happy to come back with those.
Okay, great, thank you. And we did introduce this at our public meeting that we did have too, and there was no comments on that, and we've received no
We did not receive any
comments
requests to.
up till now, but we do have a person that has come tonight. Do you have any?
And I just came to, I have no questions. I just came to hear about it.
Okay.
And I don't really have any questions.
Okay, no, that's fine. We just wanted to give you an opportunity
Yeah.
to speak if you'd like to it, pro or con. And again, a lot of people might say this is kind of an omnibus bill. There's about 5 or 6 in there. Again, our MPC had an opportunity to review them and had some discussions, I'm sure, some more at length than others. And being that our land use bylaw is a bill that is kind of flexible to a degree, but it's a living document. So every so often when we find there's either clerical or errors or potential changes that need to be made, they could come back. And again, we still have to give it the same thing, the 3 readings, or 4, depending on, but well, it's 3 because we do have to advertise it in between. So it has gone through the advertising process. And again, this is our public hearing portion of it, which we usually try and give a minimum of 10 to 15 minutes, depending on if somebody shows up. But
5 if nobody's here.
But 5 if nobody's here, so we will, unless Lyle or Judy both sit on MPC, unless you want to add to it or question or.
I just think we've had really good discussion, and we really appreciate Katie coming over and explaining things to us. I think she's been very patient with us going through things, and we really do appreciate that. But I think we've had some really good discussion.
Yeah. Katie's been a great asset, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
Your knowledge.
And again, like Richard does sit on ORS too, we got a few extra seconds here to talk about it, but the other advantage we have is, because we belong to Oldman River Regional Planning Commission, we do have the ability to learn from some of the mistakes that other municipalities potentially have done, or things that they have seen that's coming down the pipeline that potentially could, be a common concern. And so I think that by partnering with ORSC and having you participate in NPC, like you said, you can bring that information forward. So hopefully we've had an opportunity to review this, and like I said, it's been out there for a couple weeks, and again, we've given the public an opportunity to see these changes, and again, I'm sure we'll have some more coming down the pipeline too, or potential ones that are coming down the pipeline from what's being talked about out there. So
Just start the next one.
yeah, next process. Okay, so we'll just wait a couple more minutes just in case somebody's out there that is trying to get in through the traffic to make it to and
Somebody watching the hockey game.
well, yeah.
Do you want me to go look for him?
Yeah, well, can you see anybody?
I'll go check, there's a big screen over here, they're gonna be anywhere they're there.
Yeah,
We actually did have a delegate at last MPC meeting was a special meeting, but the one before that, we had a member of the public come in and just comment that it was regarding solar, but how long it took him to get to that point.
yeah,
And then when it came to our meeting, it was done in like less than 5 minutes.
yeah.
And I think this streamlines things.
I think you're right, and I think that the scary part was when solar first came in there, is we weren't sure, what to anticipate, and the technology has changed a bit on the solar. I mean, the reflector, was probably the biggest one, but you take a look at Drake Landing in Okotoks. This probably had the solar and panels the longest of any smaller municipalities, right within their municipalities, and I've heard that they've had 0 complaints of fracture or light thing. And I think that's the other thing, is that there is, and then the other one is potential looks, what it looks like, that purple door, that pink door on your home type thing, philosophies. Anyway, is there any other questions by anybody? Because if not, we've given the language.
I'll make a recommendation.
It'll come up later.
Yeah.
But
We have to go through.
Just open meeting, Tom,
This-
just closes.
we'll just close the meeting here
Okay.
shortly. Barbara, did you have a comment or question?
No, I just think that it's kind of streamlining the application process for individuals, and I think it's great.
Okay. Cole?
During the MPC meeting, was there any, besides, I guess, the eyesore aspect of things, was there any other maybe negative comments about these changes at all?
Like for solar?
For solar, yeah.
Not really. I was actually surprised a little bit, because I don't recall any negative stuff. Just, I guess some people were concerned. Yeah, you've heard about glare and stuff,
Yeah.
but I guess that's not really an issue anymore.
No, that was the main thing, was the glare, and most of the people were here wanting to get their applications approved, and It's been amazing how many we've gone through.
I've
That's
had-
why we brought this to council.
I've had multiple people approach me about what we were gonna do with the solar and everything. I've kind of, I haven't been overly involved in it or involved at all, so I said, well, I don't know, I'll ask him or talk to the office about it.
But they can only use it, they cannot retain credits.
Yeah,
You just have to use it for your daily use. There's no,
it's not putting back into the grid.
no,
type of
not
thing.
at all. Yeah.
But you reverse the meter.
Oh, really?
Yes, it's got a reversing meter on it, so right now, you are reversing the meter, so that when we start to use it in the fall more,
Oh, I
the
see.
meter starts to, so it catches up with it. They don't give it back, they don't give you a penny back on it, it's just got a reversing meter on
You
it.
have to use more than you make.
Yeah, and they can't produce more than 80%, or otherwise you have to become a micro generator. And that's what we had to do on our solar park, because we didn't use it on site enough energy to utilize it, so we became a micro generator and generate electricity and sell it back to the grid. But it's not much for the paperwork part. But yeah, no, it does have
No
a reversing
credits.
meter on it. Pardon?
It just no credits.
Yeah, there's no credits yet. Okay, anything else? If not, we will close the meeting, the public hearing portion at 7:15 and move on to the rest of our agenda.
Sounds great.
Thank you. I'm not sure if you want to stay around for the rest of it.
I'll stick around for second and third.
Okay, well, you're welcome to stay.
Make it worth the drive.
Do you know what you're gonna do tomorrow?
Yeah. Okay, so we will move on to the correspondence. We have a letter from the Flying Club in appreciation for support to send a couple of members to their conference. And then the next one is the letter from Grant Hunter for Mayors and Reeves, and then I will embellish some of it, or not embellish.
Wording?
No, I'll talk about some of the stuff that he had at Mayors and Reeves farther up. But he is kind enough to write stuff down and submit it to us. And like he said, he does say share it with any of your counselors or any of your public. He tries to get the word out. I really appreciate that he takes the time to. I wish that all our MLAs did that, but they don't. Then the next one is the letter from Mr. McIver, or Minister McIver. This one here will potentially, whatever happens, if they don't sign this agreement with the federal government, it will affect us a bit.
We're anticipating 120,000 from that this year.
But from Grant Hunter, he believes that this is just a formality of signing it. It just hasn't happened because of the sparring between the two, levels of government.
That never happens.
Okay, so any questions on any of those three correspondence?
I'll move we accept the correspondence.
Okay.
And information.
Richard moves the correspondence. Any discussion on Richard's motion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. Those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, it's carried unanimously. Okay, moving on to financial reports. There's the cash statement ending May 31st.
As you can see, there hasn't been much change since last month. We do have the taxes coming in now, so you'll see that number change.
Yeah, when the June one comes in, we'll see a jump. Okay, any question on that one? Do you want a motion separately on this one?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to accept them.
Okay, thank you. Barbara moves this, the cash statement. Any discussion on Barbara's motion? Hearing none, call the question. In favor? Opposed? Seeing none, it's carried unanimously. Okay, year-to-date statement.
All had a chance to review, unless there was something that stood out to anyone. We seem to be right on par with where we should be at, of course, this being at the end of 5 months, so. Based on our expense rate of about $600,000 a month, we're right where we should be.
Go ahead.
Just where we're sitting, are we seeing more and more people taking the TIPS program as opposed to people coming in?
It's steady, it's, as people come in and pay, we ask everyone when they come in if they would like to, and it's still hit and miss or whether they want to or not, but, we do have a fair majority on the tips now. It's, stabilizing month-to-month income as opposed to everything coming in June.
Yeah, and again, going back historically, it's made a big difference in the borrowing. You know, some municipalities that have had, you know, it's made to get rid of most of that borrowing, so it's been a huge asset to the community.
Yeah.
They don't get penalized for 6 months, and
We've always, in our line of credit, have always kept $400,000 to get us through till June when the taxes come in, and since my time here, we haven't had it go into that line of credit. So it's nice to have it, but we've been lucky enough that the tips keep us out of that.
and again, this is, we all remember that this document is almost identical to what we shared on the Monday night, you know, of how the process works. So what they saw is exactly what we see type of thing, other than, you know, the year-to-date stuff, you know, potentially change what the budget size. So again, so if you hear somebody that says, well, some of the numbers were different, it's just mainly because of the year-to-date with the variance in that. So. Any questions on this one?
Make the motion to accept the year-to-date statement ending May 31st, 2024.
Okay, any discussion on Lyle's motion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. Those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, it's carried unanimously. Okay, now we will move on to bylaw number 1521-24, land use bylaw amendments. Again, we heard the public hearing. We have not had any written or verbal comments on it in a negative or a positive manner. Is there some questions or concerns that we as council have to see? If not, we can give it the second and third reading tonight.
I'll get
Judy.
second reading.
Judy moves the second reading. Any discussion on Judy's motion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. Those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, it's carried unanimously. Now we can have third. Richard.
I'll do move for the third reading.
Okay, Richard moves the third reading. Any discussion on Richard's motion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. Those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, it's carried unanimously. Okay, now we'll move on to the traffic control bylaw, number 1522-24. Again, this one here was on the table. Yeah, thanks for coming. Drive careful. We had this at the town hall meeting too on June 17th. There was a bit of discussion on it, positive and negative. We did have one written submission. But I don't know, did you have any other ones? This other one that says, I've been 35 years of law enforcement through some years ago. A good portion of my duties was involved with traffic enforcement. Many communities have served in for a similar size to Vulcan. Thus 50K was been the norm and not an issue. Reality of speed limit is, effective speed is usually 5 to 10 kilometers over the posted limit. This is due, no doubt, to the discretion allowed by law enforcement practices. Nevertheless, any changes of speed is imposed, it ought to be based on accident stats. Those are all in abbreviation or in highlighted, bold. Having been a resident of this community for over 25 years, or 23 years, I question that if there is a need and a fact supporting stats. If the argument is solely based on presumption of safety, it appears to me the proposal is a solution to a problem that doesn't exist. I therefore question the rationale and the initiative of this proposal. I truly hope that this is not based on what other communities have done. Our bylaws should reflect the uniqueness of our community, and only changes like this to be considered when there is no true rationale. So anyway, again, we received this as a concern that was because the person couldn't make it to the town hall meeting. Since the town hall meeting, I've had, on last Saturday, I had 3 individuals that, one attended the town hall meeting, the other 2 didn't, and they were in favor of moving forward to reducing the speed limit. Cool.
Since last Monday's meeting, I've had 3 or 4 people reach out to me in favor of it, really grateful that we're considering it. I have to respectfully disagree with comments in that letter. I don't think, because our town size stats and data is an easy thing to accomplish, I would be in favor of it because it's common sense. If you're going slower, your reaction time is faster, it is safer, regardless of what stats say. I don't think there's necessarily a massive issue at play, but I notice residential driving and it's too fast a lot of times. I had a phone call today from somebody complaining about speed limits where they're at, which I'll get to in my committee reports, but to me it's a no-brainer. I think the majority of the people have been very in favor of the bylaw change, so that's why I'm going to vote in favor of it.
Okay.
And so, on the statistics side, one of the things that we brought up at the town hall meeting that you guys are aware of is that this speed signs that we use, we've been using to collect data, and we've moved them around town based on complaints that we've received. And the biggest thing that we find is when somebody makes a complaint about speed, we find that 90% of the time people aren't speeding for posted speed of 50 kilometers an hour. But what is happening is they're complaining because they're perceived to be going too fast for that street. So they're not actually speeding, but they're going too fast for that residential area. And that's what spurred this original conversation in 2021 to lower the speed limit, because if you get the same feedback from 3rd Street South and 3rd Street North and Cottonwood Drive and Center Street, and it's a consistent messaging, and when we collect the only data that we can, which is the actual speed signs which clock everybody, and 90% of people aren't speeding, the community perception is people are still going too fast, and the only thing you guys as council could do is lower that speed limit. So you're lowering the speed limit to help with that perception of how fast people are going, and giving a tool to the tools to the RCMP and peace officers to be able to enforce it.
And since 2021, and even back in 2021, that's why it was brought forward, we've had concerns and questions, and again, exactly what Kim said. There was recommendations that we, put in stop signs, 4-way stops on more intersections. We've had recommendations to have speed bumps in some of the areas of concern. There was a recommendation or a question about maybe we should lower our whole speed limit in the whole community to 30 kilometers an hour, eliminating the playground zones and school zones that only be 30K throughout the whole community. So there has been other suggestions made. This is the one that administration and our previous bylaw enforcement officer and the RCMP have made recommendation that they would back, sort of the reduction to 40. So, so we've heard, lots of pros towards it. We've heard, the odd con to it, and again, even in the letter stating that, they have an ability to allow 5 to 10K over the posted limit. There are people that believe that that's gospel and it should be allowed anyway. So, I mean, if you said, well, the speed limit's 50 and you can go 10 over, the speed limit theoretically in some people's eyes would be 60. So by lowering it to 40, hopefully those ones with that same philosophy will now say 50 is an ideal. But
on that, had a couple comments that night about enforcement. You could lower it down to 5, but nobody enforces it. Nothing's going to change. But on regards to the letter, it's almost stating that accidents or something like that is a driving factor behind that, and that's reactive. I'd rather be proactive than reactive, and I drive by the pool every day, and on a hot day, you know, these kids are excited, it's that time of year, and I worry about one of them running out from between cars or something. Yeah, and I got my heads up looking, but, you know, I don't know. If it's 10K, you know, coming into there, it's 30 through there, but if it's 10K, you're slowing down, you're getting ready. I don't know, I think it's not a bad idea, my thinking. It's, 10 seconds more going across town, you know?
Cool.
The irony of this to me is, okay, I'm gonna tell was, one of the people who was overtly negative to this on Facebook. I live close by, but, she had an animal that was on the road, and had I been doing 50, I probably would have crushed that animal, but because I was going slow, I was able to stop and cross the road. But it's not just for kids, it's for animals or whatever, the car backing out that's not looking. It's not just about youth, you know, in my eyes, it's animals and everything.
And some of us older people too.
Yeah.
Okay, so any other thoughts or questions on this before we did give it first reading, so we can give it second and third tonight, if we so desire, or we can,
The only other thing to bring up is if council considers an amendment, the bylaw is worded right now that it will take place immediately, but of course that needs to be correspond with signage and survey. So you can either put a date to it by amending it, putting a date on when it'll take effect, or be fine with having it immediately take effect and not being able to be enforced until we actually have the signs in place. We have to order them, and I also talked to Stu, and he feels that based on the number that we have to put in, he can put them in a single day, so it would be, they would go up and that would be the day, and that's what
How long to get the signs?
we're not sure. He's already, we've sent the templates to them, we're just waiting for a response on how long and he didn't wanna move forward unless you were gonna move forward with second and third reading. So, a couple weeks is anticipated.
we'll have comments, right?
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Kim.
No.
I just want to say that I've been for this since it was introduced and since we started on council and I saw it on the action list. So, I think dropping the speed limit to 40 doesn't affect anyone negatively other than people who want to speed through town. So, I'd like to make the recommendation that council give bylaw number 1522-24 traffic control bylaw amendment second read.
Okay, thank you, Lou. Okay, Richard, did you have a comment?
I'm just thinking about what Kim just said about timing. I would say, like if we do it right away, there's no signage, so there's really nothing. I would say once the signs are up, I would like to see that start that, because then you've got some, you know, some teeth in it, so.
So we would have to make an amendment to the bylaw
Yeah.
to put a date to it.
Okay.
We won't be able to enforce until the signs go up.
Yeah.
So is that what you're talking
Okay.
about, or would you like to
Yeah.
amend the
No,
bylaw?
well, that's fine, no, if we can't enforce it, I mean, it doesn't make
Can't
any
enforce it
difference.
until you actually post it, and we
Okay.
won't be able to post it until we get the signs.
Okay,
So,
then let's go immediately, let's go as it reads then.
Okay, so Will's doing a second reading, or second motion for any discussion on Will's motion? Seeing none, call the question in favor. Opposed, seeing none, that second one passed. We can give it third. Richard?
Make a recommendation for the third reading.
Okay, Richard moves the third reading. Any discussion on Richard's motion? Hearing none, call the questions in favor. Opposed, seeing none, it's carried unanimously. Okay, thank you. Now we will move on to current business. Pickup truck replacement.
So we've all had a chance to read the report. Stu put it out to tender. Funny enough, last time we tendered a truck, Ford was the only one that didn't put one in. So this time they were the only ones that put one in. We had a brief discussion on whether the dealerships were working together to make sure everybody gets a truck every 2 years. So, but price came in right where we thought it would be. Obviously, we did the adjustment to the 25-year replacement plan. So the pickup cost with GST was $61,000. We are expecting, we will recoup $3,000 from the GST, the $2,900 in GST, plus the anticipated cost of our auction price on $390,000 in that reserve for equipment replacement, knowing that a big chunk of that is gonna be the street sweeper when it comes up.
Cool.
Well, although Ford wouldn't be my first choice, I'd like to make the recommendation that council approve the purchase of a 2024 pickup truck from High River Ford as per quotation price of $61,109.75, with the funds to be drawn from the Common Service Capital Reserve, and directs administration to dispose of the 2010 Chevrolet pickup by way of public auction upon the arrival of the 2024 pickup.
Okay, any discussion on Cole's motion? Hearing none, I'll call question. Those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, it's carried unanimously. Okay, moving on to the next one, which is the road closure for Vulcan.
So tourism has put together, have started planning an event. Of course, we have that, recreation has the outdoor screen. So they, with the folks coming to town for Vulcan, they are looking at an opportunity of doing an outdoor movie on the street. So they're obviously gonna show a Star Trek movie. And we have closed that chunk of road for several different events over the last little while, and it's worked out very well. The location, still being able to get traffic around it, those sort of things. So their request would be for a temporary road closure from 9:30 at night to midnight, because obviously we can't show the movie in the daylight. So, and it sounds like putting it at that location, 9 Line is also interested in partnering with them to obviously gain some customers from being in that location. So they need this is coming from Chris on the tourism side as a formal request to council for the temporary road closure, if you're in favor of it.
Okay, Judy?
I'll make the recommendation that council approves the tourism department's request for a temporary street closure of First Avenue North from Center Street to First Street North from 9:30 p.m. to 12 a.m. on Friday, July 6th, 2024 for the outdoor movie during the Vulcan event.
Okay, any comments?
I guess just how did Chris choose the location?
It was through trying to find a good spot, and it worked well for the food trucks. So it was either that or trying to do it down at the tourist center, and they've already got a lot going at the tourist center. So to set up that screen and that, it kind of gets them away from and gets people across tracks.
Okay, go ahead.
It says Friday, July 6th. Isn't it at the end of July?
It is July 6th, yeah.
Is it 26?
Is that
I'm seeing 26 here.
oh, sorry, it is the 26th. That's a typing error on my,
Oh, yeah.
on my side. Sorry, it is on the 26th. I apologize.
Good catch, Lyle.
You can just
Good call. I
Well, yes.
amend the motion accordingly.
It's two places there, yeah. Motions for the 6th, but the
Yeah.
summary was the 26th.
Yes, it is the 26th. I'll tell you straight out, that's my mistake, because Chris writes the report and I write the motions. And I know that he knows the date is right, so I
Okay,
apologize.
so it's the 26th, that's,
You're fine with that amendment,
Yes.
Judy?
And
Am I
if
correct
we're
that?
gonna do that, we can change street closure to instead of closer.
I will do that.
We're gonna amend it.
okay. Any other questions on, discussion on this one before we call the question? Hearing now, call the question in favor. Opposed? Seeing none, it's carried unanimously. Okay, the next one.
Next one's a very interesting one. I know you guys, when we had our planning and we were talking about economic development, all those things, Chris had a brief discussion about a topic that had been brought up to him for tourism and for Vulcan, and that's the proposal. They're having a silent auction. One of the things that was brought up based on there already being plots occupied by people that have come to town specifically to have this as their final resting place. There was a conversation from the committee that perhaps they should bring this forward. Again, the council is responsible for the cemetery, and we sell those plots for people from out of town for $660. And Chris feels that if we could put it up for auction with a minimum bid of $500, more than anything, it will cause some buzz, get people talking, and perhaps be something that council could support in conversation when council talked about it the last time, so.
Wow.
I'll just,
You're opening
because I
it.
was, because I was part of the group that, when they suggested it, I think just the publicity alone, like say for my last term on council, when we got the shirts, the jackets done, I mean, there was some negative feedback from it, but the publicity alone was priceless. And now when we go to places, the rec place, and just that it's something new. I mean, people are gonna talk about it. Yeah, there's gonna be some people that are tipped off about it, but I think more positive than negative.
Okay, go ahead.
And the one thing to keep in mind with that is, we didn't put it in the report, but this all started as part of council's directive for increasing marketing and promotion of the community. This is one thing that, as unconventional as it is one of those things that's going to most likely get national attention again.
Yeah.
Which is what the goal is.
It's really unorthodox, but it kind of fits in with my sense of humor. So
I was gonna say, I'm not sure if this is what I meant when we were talking about the marketing Vulcan.
It starts off small sometimes.
We're paying Chris for ideas.
We are. If there's one thing he hasn't let us down with, it's ideas.
Yeah.
Well,
Go ahead.
obviously everything he does, he does good.
There's just between us and anyone who's watching, this is gonna kind of lead up to something else that could be happening within the next year or two. It's also gonna bring probably international attention to us. So, I mean, this is just kind of well, not the start, but it's building us up a little
Precursor.
bit. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
I'd like to make the recommendation that council approve the donation of one plot in the Vulcan Cemetery for the silent auction at the 2024 Vulcan event at the reserve price of no less than $500.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion on Cole's motion? Hearing none, I'll call the questions in favor. Seeing none. Anybody opposed? Nobody opposed, it's carried unanimously. Okay, moving on to the next one is appointment of a deputy mayor.
It's you, buddy.
Yep.
So what are we gonna, you gotta do your motion first, and then we'll swear you in.
So, go ahead and
So you've all had a chance to read the report. Councillor Moore-Coffey's term has come to an end this evening. I'd like to thank her for her term as deputy mayor.
Well,
Grueling 8 months, I'm sure. I did reach out to Councillor Smith, and he has confirmed that he is interested in taking on the role of deputy mayor for the next 8 months. And yeah,
So we need a-
council's in favor. You can make your motion, and then following the motion, we'll do the official swearing in if you're in favor of that.
You cannot be in favor, it's fine.
I'll make the recommendation that council appoint Councillor Bill Smith to the office of deputy mayor for the town of Vulcan for a term ending February 24th, 2025.
You just want out, don't you?
I'd ask if there's any discussion on it, but we'll be here for hours. Anyway, is there any discussion on it? Go ahead.
I'd be curious the data, the history. Maybe you're the youngest to be appointed that
Yeah,
position.
could be,
Okay, if there's no further discussion, I will call the question. All in favor?
You have to vote as
Oh,
well.
I still have to vote.
That was a
Yeah.
good vote
I'm in
against that.
favor.
Voting against that, or?
Say it out loud.
Thank you.
Okay, so if we
You
can
go ahead.
do the official oath of office, so Will, this is the official oath of office, if you can read that aloud.
All right. I, William Smith, swear that I will diligently, faithfully, and to the best of my ability, execute according to law the office of deputy mayor for the town of Vulcan. So help me God.
Excellent. I get you to sign that right there. You are official. Florida just scored that way.
What?
Florida.
I just messed up my signature.
Are you serious?
Yeah, that's gonna be on record forever too, you know.
Congratulations.
Okay,
Well,
congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving on. Committee reports, we have 5 there that were submitted. So Mayor's and Reeves, Southern Alberta, for the May 3rd. Any questions or comments on that one? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to the draft minutes of June 11th, 2024, the MPC. Any questions on that one? Okay, hearing none, the library for May the 14th. Okay, hearing none, the library for June 18th. Okay, if not, we'll move on to ORSCs. For December the 7th. Okay,
Can you read their reports on your tablets?
yeah,
Yes.
Yeah.
Geez, mine's always blurry.
oh,
That's because you sit on that committee.
yes.
I know the truth.
Mine's blurry a lot too.
No, mine's really good.
I'm gonna bug him.
Okay, and if not, the Flying Club of the June 18th. Okay, any questions on any of those? Well, I guess there's really 6, but any of those ones? If not, somebody wish to file them? Barbara? Any discussion on Barbara's motion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. Those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, I'll declare it carried unanimously. Now we'll move on to the verbal ones. Councillor Magnuson.
I've had a few meetings, the MPC, first meeting, well, the minutes are up there. June 15th, took part in the Okotoks parade, which we had really good weather for that, a good turnout. Attended the town hall meeting on June 17th. Glad we had more than 3 people, that was awesome. June 18th, at the Flying Club meeting. What we saw there, thank you letter for the funds to attend the conference there, I believe it was up in Edmonton. And they found that it was really, really informative. They got their eyes opened quite a bit. It also scared them a little bit for stuff that they didn't know. For example, like when airport lights need to be changed, they should be done by someone, not just a regular electrician, but because it is, the airports are regulated by federal jurisdiction, like they need to be higher up people doing such because they've had people go to change the lights and, well, obviously not here, but get zapped and it could be fatal. And issues about fuel being tested, what they've done, because it's opened eyes to a lot of small airports, that there will be a video presentation to be shared with the Flying Club and then distributed to the town and county, just to show, I guess, the way the airport should be run in a perfect world. It's going to be interesting to see how that goes. But they said that the conference was very good, extremely informative, and they also, someone actually listened to me and he came to the town and got some pins, and they distributed them to the people at the conference, and they said it was like handing out candy to kids. Like even the people at the conference that doing presentations and stuff, they pointed out just how well the Vulcan Airport has it with the town and county partnering together on it. And they each had a Vulcan t-shirt, and they stood out. I can't say this because it's my competition, but they were above the crowd, everyone else there. On June 20th, we had an MPC special meeting. And we had a recommendation coming into council, we're gonna have a recommendation coming into council regarding detached secondary suites. So we can expect something with that, so, and that's all I have at this point.
Okay, any questions for Lyle? If not, thank you. Councillor Boat.
I had the ORSC meeting on June 13th, went over budget. They're having to tighten their purse strings quite dramatically. They're getting a little low in the funds, I would say. And so, for example, one of their bylaws, they have 3 vehicles. One of their bylaws states they have a certain amount of kilometers, then they have to switch it. Well, they're not going to do that because it just, they can't afford it right now. There's one fellow was quite upset over some of the dealings, and it got talked out pretty good. But all in all, it was a good meeting. I'm kind of curious to see where it goes from there to the next meeting. It's going to be interesting, and they're talking about hiring another planner because they figure there's more work. It went down to the amount of subdivisions they expected and didn't get. So they had kind of planned up for that, and that brings a lot of money into them, and did not get it. So they're hoping that that turns around. Then from there went to the Okotoks Parade, which was an absolute gas, and had a really nice time there. And then the town hall meeting. Well, it was nice to see, like Lyle said, it was nice to see people wanting to engage us in our decision-making process, which I am totally happy to do. And I think it's wonderful you see them come and get involved in the political aspect of their town. I think it's very important, and even the fact that bringing up the census was brought up there, I think that was a good point for them to understand about the cost of not putting your census and what it costs the town for lost revenue from the government. So I think that point too, I hope they walked out of there with that. But all in all, I thought it was a good meeting. I thought Tommy did a good job. You kept yourself in check. That was pretty good. But all in all, that's about it. So, thank you.
Okay, any questions for Richard? If not, Councillor Smith.
I had no formal meetings since our last council meeting. I was unable to attend the town hall meeting, obviously I was on shift. I was happy to catch up with Kim about it all this week. And I have a fresh person meeting Wednesday in Okotoks, so we get to meet the new director and stuff. So it'll be on the 26th. That's it.
Okay, any questions for Will? If not, thank you. Councillor Sanderson.
On June 11th, I also attended the MPC meeting. Minutes are there. On June 17th in the morning, I had a victim services meeting at Tri-Services. Our count is healthy, so if we close when we close, it'll take a while to close, even though they're taking over the end of September, because we have to get all the financials, casino reports, and there'll be a lot of work involved there. But hopefully we'll be able to help other societies when we fold. Victim services were in attendance. Most of the advocates and the PMs were invited to the drunk collision thing that was put on, and they didn't know why they were there, and they were asked if they wanted to be part of the simulation, and they said no, they just watch, and they were kept busy because people in the crowd were having issues because it was so realistic. So they were busy dealing with people, everyone. So it was nice that they were there to help people. And I don't know, some were, had family that were in accidents, and it became more a reality again. So it was nice that they were there. So good job to them. September 12th, we're going to have a board, advocates, and RCMP catered dinner. We figure the board works and volunteers just as hard sometimes, but as the advocates, and they wanted us to be able to sit down instead of us always being there to serve them. And it's kind of a thank you for a job well done, because that will be our last get together as a team. So hopefully we get enough people to come out for that. June 20th, I had a special MPC meeting, as Lyle stated. And also on June 20th, we had the FCSS AGM. So I was voted back in as chair. Vice chair is Patrick Weems, and secretary remains as Kelly Nelson. And we'll get the minutes to you there. Right after that, we went into our regular meeting. Jamie Smith and Patrick Weems did our audit on our financial statements. So thank you to them. It was nice to have guys step up and do it for a change. So we'll get that to the town as well. They said that June has been as busy as what their Decembers are. Like, it's unbelievable the people coming through their doors. So that kind of scares me with the services closing, because that's going to be even more people coming through their doors. Dawn's been busy with interviews and training for 2 new positions, or not new positions, but people who have left those positions. She's busy trying to move jobs around to accommodate everybody. She's doing a marvelous job. Our receptionist funding is going down as Alberta Youth has changed their funding, so we need $13,000 to keep our receptionists full-time, and we need somebody at that front desk at all times. So there's a lot of finagling, and she does a wonderful job of it. Lots of summer programming throughout the county. We then went into the food bank meeting, the AGM, and stays the same, the chair, vice chair, and secretary, as stated earlier. And again, Jamie and Patrick did the audit on our financials. The new hire for Claire's position is Angie Thiessen. And I guess she went in and she did a good cleanup of the whole back and reorganized it. It was maybe a little discerning for some of the ones that have been there, but Dawn says it's really coming along and it's made a big difference. The food bank is in need of canned goods. They're good with the bread and the meat from Cargill and the rescue food. There was 43 food hampers in May. They're finding that they're getting middle class as well as low income coming in now to the food bank with the price of the taxes and everything. And they also stocked the Carmen Day community pantry. So that was also done in May. I didn't get Rhonda's last name. She's coming in to take over for Deanna Edwards. And she's already done this position previously, and she was off work for a bit, and now she wants to come back into the workforce. So there was basically no training, so that was nice, just meeting the clients. So we're looking forward to working with these new people in the office. Feel free to go in and introduce yourselves, and there is no meetings in July and August unless we need a special meeting. I have a long-winded June 21st, had a building committee meeting. We completed the business plan and the needs assessment. Derek has to add a few comments to the needs assessment so that it aligns with the application for the AHPP. So it went a little longer than we thought because Lori lost 2 saved documents, but we got her done from 9 to 2. They fed us, so that was good. June 24th, that's this morning. We had a building committee meeting with M3. There was Ian from M3 and Brianne. Derek was there, Lori, Kelly, and myself. Ian reached out to Shandles for any cost changes and gave us a breakdown of extra contingency requirements that will be expected because we're almost a year behind. And it's going to be 14% for total construction costs. So ouch, that's over 1.5 million. In contingency that we'll have to put aside. It's $1,515,729. And so now the project sits at $31,116,536.
31 million.
That's, yeah.
31,000 we could do.
Yeah.
We would write you the check tonight for that.
31 million. M3 is to complete a construction market summary and a market summary report, breaking down all the costs. We can now submit, Derek has found out we can submit so we're going to get all the corrections done, and they will be resubmitted by the second week of July. He found out that we can submit the AHPP with financing conditions, which allows us to submit to CMHC immediately, and that's just sort of a guarantee that if one gives them and then everything can get approved at once instead of waiting for another 6 months. So it just shows funding stacking, so that the money is there. We will be submitted as a Class B. We were submitted as a Class C before, so fingers crossed. Ian said that he was quite, he felt, we're all, well, I don't know, but he feels that with the work we've done and where we're sitting now, that we should be accepted in the next round, which will probably be October.
Great.
Hmm?
You came to the town hall meeting.
Who did?
You did.
I did.
You
You
attended
went
it.
to the town hall meeting.
Oh, yeah, I did that too. That's in there somewhere. Yes, I did. June 17th, I went to the town hall meeting.
Okay, great.
That's who you were doing.
Any
Thanks,
questions?
Jim.
Go ahead, Barbara.
The position for the reception, the money is not being cut.
No, it's just that the funding is different, right?
No, the funding is not different. It is just that those hours are supposed to be for the Vulcan Regional Response to Elder Abuse. That's what we're paying that position for. It's just that that particular grant is starting to run out, and we've applied for another grant to replace it.
Okay.
So we just
I
don't
just
have,
report what I said.
Yeah.
Thank you for clarifying.
it doesn't mean we don't have the money yet. It's just
Yeah,
that
so
we're
the funding's
waiting.
not there yet, but it hopefully will be.
Yeah, but we still have funding in place right now. She's still being paid to us.
Okay.
In part. Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Thank you, Judy. Councilor McCarthy.
I did the parade on June the 15th in Okotoks, that was fun. June 17th, I attended the town hall meeting. I thought it was wonderful that we had people there, and it's good to hear diverse perspectives. So, and then June 18th, I had my library board meeting. June 20th, I had on Zoom the Vulcan Regional Response to Elder Abuse Council. And I believe we talked about having a presentation come to town council. So Gabrielle will come and do that. We're still working on our strategic plan. I believe we may have 2 meetings in the summer, but that's the only one I might have meetings for. And then Wednesday, I have the Health and Wellness Foundation, the last one before the summer break.
Okay, any questions for Barbara? If not, thank you, Councilor Lynn.
I also was at the town hall meeting. It was June 13th. 17th, sorry. I also had a Southgrow meeting on June 20th in Champion. We had 2 presentations. One was from Melanie Gardner. She kind of gave a presentation about the Community Investment Readiness Project. I guess they have a profile on every community that is involved with it. I have a document that I should have shared prior to this meeting, but I forgot, and I was struggling sending it, so I might need some assistance with that.
Sure.
It was pretty good. I had trouble hearing because of where I was sitting, and I noticed my hearing's getting worse. So she was talking about ESG reports for investors, and to my knowledge, that is more of kind of a, I don't know what that acronym stands for. I couldn't hear the exact, but it was more if we have wetlands or something that we can promote. And there's also an acronym, DEI incentives, which is more based on diversity, I think. I don't know if Vulcan is really high up on wetlands, but diversity, I think we have a pretty diverse culture in our community right now. We also had a presentation from Paul Ryan from the Saywa, and it was very interesting what he had to say. I feel bad for all you guys on Saywa, Tom, on the struggles you've gone through. Yeah, it's hard to have I don't know how to word this, but I believe that a project like that needs to happen at some point. So I hope it guys have better luck going forward. But keep up the effort anyways. I also had a person reach out to me today in the Allen subdivision who voiced concerns about speeders going through where that gravel road connects the Allen subdivision to the Whispering Creek. He has kind of an idea of a raised pedestrian crosswalk. I'm not sure what the solution is, but I'm hoping that this bylaw change tonight for the speed limit will help that situation, but maybe it won't. So going forward, maybe there's something we'll have to look into, whether it's a speed bump or something cost efficient. He didn't want to speak for his whole neighborhood, but he said there was the majority of people in that area think there needs to be something done to reduce the speeding through there. I personally can't speak to it because I don't live there, but wouldn't surprise me if there's an issue there. It's a long
It was what we data logged.
yeah. So yeah, I told him I would share that with you guys, and he might have a proposal coming forward. I don't know. So that's it.
Any questions for Cole? Hearing none, I'll do mine, I guess. I too was at the Okotoks Parade, and yeah, it was great, and it was nice. They tried something different. You know, we chose not to do candy, so they handed out invitations to the swimming pool and some of the other functions and stuff. And I don't know how many they printed out, but they were handing them out left and right and center, and which was really kind of nice and great to see. We did have a couple extras that showed up to the parade, so that was really nice to see. So I got to apologize to one of our councillors that I thought was on the float, but he wasn't, and so I kind of zoomed away and kind of left him. And I ended up having to walk the last 6 or 8 blocks. But we did get in trouble for unpacking our float and getting it ready to take out because we're 200 or 300 feet away from where we're supposed to debark. Anyway, it was good though, lots of fun. Then I was Sewa meeting again. This Sewa project is growing some different ideas in different directions. So hopefully, I've got another one, 2 more this week, and another one. But so hopefully, one of these days we will be able to bring something back to the members and in a very positive method instead of this going back and forth all the time. I was at Mayor's and Reeves. It was in Coaldale, in their brand new town office. It's a multi-use facility. They've got some, I'm not sure where they came across some cash, but they've got some beautiful facilities in Coaldale. I was reminded that their facility would be not much better when the parade goes by with our float in it in August. So I did send that on to Chris. Every time I see the mayor of Coaldale, he always reminds me that our float needs to come officially to their parade. And so I said that I would do my best to try and get it there. But anyway, Mayors and Reeves were there. It was the southeast and the southwest. They normally meet in Tabor because some come from quite a distance to come. But there was 30 members there in person and 10 online. And it was quite a decent meeting. And again, like I said, Grant Hunter does his report. And Grant and usually Nathan Nodorf, who wasn't there, but they usually are the two that come and they take a lot of abuse from all of us, generally, in questions. They do a great job of trying to defend their government and what their government is doing and the process. Sometimes they also don't defend some of the bills that are there, which is kind of neat to see. They say, well, somebody's put it forward, but they don't think that like Bill 19 and Bill 20 are the two that are ones that are really kind of hard for them to promote, but yet they're part of the government. And he did say, now I hope I got this correct, that there was a blowout in the irrigation canal that comes off of the St. Mary's water system,
Siphon
on the siphon,
on the US side.
on the US side, which really affects the water that goes through Milk River. And so there's gonna be $400,000 to correct that, and they're trying to come up with a method. It's the same size of pipe as the one that's in the city of Calgary that blew out or has given problems. I don't believe it's the same type of material, but it's something similar.
It washed out close to 30 meters of soil.
Yeah. So anyway, they're having some issues with it because they're concerned about downstream, because it kind of comes down and it goes through, it comes out of the States, goes through Canada, and then goes back into the States. And now the people that are having some issues with it is in the States, because it's affecting part of the States, even though it's now become a Canadian issue, but it's an American issue on the one hand. So he said that is partly why he says some of these municipalities are bringing in the, throwing out the, not disaster service, but disaster, no, the declaration.
The emergency, declare emergency.
Yeah, declaring a local emergency on it, because of the funding changes, and especially this one here, because of the states, because it really affects the funding process. So he said that sometimes you see these municipalities throw them out kind of quickly on one hand, but the advantages is potentially is the financial, and also some of the things that they can do because the rules have changed, and so. Now, Jason did talk about that with his mayor when he came up. The RMA is that he questions when the process too with one of the new bills that come out, where the government can come in and oversee it. And so he questioned on that one there. But it was a great discussion, and like I said, I really appreciate Grant Hunter and Nathan, especially Grant, because he almost always shows up, and there's lots of heavy questions for him on it. But and then Jason did talk a bit about the Bill 19 and 20 and some of the other ones that are in the pipeline, and what RMA is trying to work with the government. And they're finding that they're running into a little bit of opposition to some of the ministers not wanting to meet with RMA and the AM, but they're trying to work through this process. They had a demonstration by Halo, or a presentation by Halo, and they're the ones that flew into Vulcan for the demonstration. And the guy spoke about that they finally got a contract. I think it's a 10-year contract with HS, to move forward. Stars got 15, but they got 10. So he says at least it's a start. So so it was really good presentation too. The only roundtable discussion is that Fort McLeod, which we did get an invite to take our float to their parade, but this is their 150th anniversary in Fort McLeod. So there was a little plug put in for the 150th anniversary for Fort McLeod. A couple of the other ones, the MDs, there's a couple that are have their 70th and 75th anniversaries as MDs. And yeah, that's pretty well it for mayors and Reeves. Again, like I said, there was about 40 of us attended, but the mayor, like I said, from Coaldale, really wants to see us participate. So I too attended the town hall meeting. Matter of fact, I chaired it, so some of it's my fault when things don't go around. But I do appreciate Judy getting up and giving the discussion from the Marcus Foundation and where the Marcus Foundation stands. I did have 3 people at that meeting come over after and thank us for, and one was really, matter of fact, I saw him again on the Porch Fest, and he was thoroughly impressed. He just says, I didn't realize how much work it takes to put on and run a community. And so I think that, it was hats off from him for the way we ran the meeting and the way it went. So, and again, I appreciate everybody that was able to attend. I asked Lyle, we're not 100% sure, but we think there was 15 people at the meeting.
16, 17 if you include Joe.
Okay, so 16, well, Lyle was the closest, he said 15, so he wins the opportunity to go back over and clean up the mess that we left
I thought
behind.
that was the chair next year's meeting.
Oh, yeah, maybe that's it, Chair. But anyway, it was nice, like Lyle said, you know, we've had as low as 3 and as high as 35 in the last 10 years at least, and it was nice to see a good number, good discussion, and like I said, we had those 2 letters, which I did read out, the one at the meeting, or both of them at the meeting, but of people that came and had some discussion on what, you know, we could do and what we didn't do. So that's, like I said, I've got 2 more SAWA meetings this week. There is I talked to Kim and Chris about, I was offered to take the float to Airwoods Parade this coming Saturday. It's at 10 o'clock in the morning. We need to meet there at 9:30 if somebody wishes to come. It's a really laid back parade. If you want to show up, you're more than welcome to. We're going to meet at 9:30. It's at the school, and I'll take the float up and put it in the parade, and then when we get back, I'll get it ready for them to go to the one in July, or the July 1st to the Banff, and I will offer to help you guys get going on July 1st too, if you guys need a hand to go through it.
I'd appreciate that.
And I just can't take it to the event, but anyway, so I will help you guys on for the 1st. Again, like I said, the other one is I'm not sure if everybody got that. We got invited to July 3rd in Coaldale. They're doing their grand opening of the new school/community facility. And it's also the grand opening, or the opening for the summer games.
I'll send the invite.
Again, if somebody wishes to go, it's on July 3rd. It starts at noon, and then the summer games thing is in the evening on that day. I can't attend, but again, Jack Ryan from Coaldale really recommended that we be there, representing our community as well as we do, and so he said make sure that invitation, if it didn't go out, but I saw it earlier, but I don't know who. Karen sent it out, I think, didn't she? Or is there that one there, Scotland?
No, that's
No,
our energy on it.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, I sent it to Karen.
Anyway,
Send a note.
yeah. So hopefully, if somebody can attend, that'd be great, and represent the community. But every time I see him, he always, really goes overboard about what we do for our community, and why should we share that with their community. So other than that, I think that's about all that I had to, unless somebody has any questions on the ones that.
You send out a thing for the, okay.
Yeah, we'll make sure that you guys get that. But
Chris also asked me to mention that Banff is going to send out their stuff this week. They were hoping earlier this week, so hopefully tomorrow or the day after, for exact times and meeting places for their parade.
okay. And the other one that I went to though was, and Judy was at it too, and Richard was at, some of it was Porch Fest, and I think it should be a hats off to our rec people, Channing and the rec department. Again, this is off the side, it wasn't a counselor thing, but I went to all 9, which was, something strange for me. I usually took in one, but I was able to take in all of them, and it really was good. The weather was good again too, a little bit too hot. I felt sorry for a couple of the groups that were out in the sunshine and just baked, but it was great to see, and I kind of tried to do a number count, but there was about 50 to 60 at most of them, and there was one, I think there was about 75 or 80 at. So it was in a way well attended. I mean, it was the same ones that went to a lot of them, but yet there was some new ones to each one. So I think hats off to the again. It's a different side of the rec department in a way. It's more on the cultural side, but I think it was well received by the majority of people. So Go ahead, Judy.
I
sorry.
made 5 of them, and they were all amazing. I was so impressed. I mean, this is all local talent, and I missed Joan's, but I heard that hers was spectacular. So
Yeah.
hats off to Joan for,
No,
and
I-
you for doing it.
Yeah, no, I think it was great to see, and again too, so I mean, it's great to see that we try to do something more than just all recreation or, something else. And I think that's one of the blessings that we have in this community is that we have so many functions out there. When somebody says they're bored, I said, well, geez, just follow some of us around because there are so many different events and, just about every weekend there's something going on in this community and it doesn't take long to, if you want to get out there and get off the couch and participate, there's lots going on. So I appreciate everybody and the organizational that went into that advertising. So you can share that with the rec department. Okay, and thank you. Is there anything else? If not, somebody wish to move the council. Judy moves the reports. Any discussion on Judy's motion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. In favor? Opposed? See none, it's carried. Okay, move on to activity list.
As you've all had a chance to read the report, as you've seen, everything from the last meeting was accomplished, and I'm pleased to say after 3 years and 2 months, you can go home and tell Georgia Lee that her motion that she made in April of 2021 has now come to fruition. We've been through 2 peace officers, 2 bylaw officers to get to this point. So I was pretty pleased when Karen asked me if she could gray that one out. I was pretty excited. So thank you all for that. That was a lot of work, but for a 4-line amendment. So, unless there's questions on anything else that's outstanding, the last one will be outstanding until somebody brings a proposal forward.
Okay, moving on.
My CAO report. So had a busy couple weeks with the town hall meeting in there, so I put the documents together for that. It was an interesting one. I did a wastewater drought survey. So based on, because we release into a waterway, they were, because of the lower numbers in our waterways, they want to know how much waste goes out. So we were able to do that, and based on our capacity, we're not looking at revenues this year. So that went fairly well. We're Stu to get that done. Obviously, the sports courts, you've seen the fences are going up. They poured concrete this week, making some pretty good progress. SEMA was down, met with them on Friday, and Stu on site. A little off topic, it will come to council. We do know, and you know from the planning stage, that parking is potentially going to be an issue in there. So our engineer was good enough to say, I can go together, throw a ballpark price together for you to do parking along Memorial Avenue, where Stu and I had talked about it. We received that Friday morning early. I was hoping to maybe add it to the agenda, but the dollar figure that came in on it was $115,000, so we're not going to add that to the agenda. Stu said that he will make a proposal to council to do that in a cost-effective manner, probably within our own resources through pouring some of our own curb and that going forward. But we'll play that by ear once it opens and we see traffic again. People might park on 2nd Avenue, but most likely along Memorial. So we're just preparing for that side.
I thought I saw them ripping up asphalt when I was driving by. Is that?
Yeah, doing the clean edges.
Oh, okay.
So that they
That
pour
makes sense.
concrete against it, because the asphalt was poured, they cut clean edges and then poured the concrete with the new curbing up against it, so it fit tight. Obviously did the presentation for the town hall meeting. I appreciate you guys going through that. Doesn't take long to do the presentation itself. It does quite a bit to make sure that your notes are accurate, and I do appreciate a couple things that we noted during the meeting. Those have been corrected, and those are now, for the ones that go up on the website, have the corrections inside there. So completed the Birdies for Kids donation. We did that online, and so that's all completed now. There was some updates to the FCSS year ends, so I was able to go on through the portal and get those updated. So now those are back in the minister's hands. The Alberta Purchasing Connection that we use for anything, any of our purchases over $70,000, any of our bigger projects. They've moved to a new website. Migration has been. It's very similar to a lot of the Government of Alberta websites. Certain aspects of them work really well, but if your password is on one or another, it kind of meshes everything together. So the little bit we've done inside of it is been all right, but we still think that we have a few kinks to figure out for the town of Vulcan specifically, but overall it's going well. Did some relisting of some lots of the new assessment values, so we got those signed off on. Been quite busy with the bylaw side of things. Channing's been, if people are asking you, he does have a good portion of the unsightly for grass weeds. Majority of those are now at the order stage where he's sent letters with deadlines to get that done, and if they're not done, we'll get that work done. Being his first time going through that process, he wants to make sure he has everything on point in case somebody were to take it to court. So, but he's been using the templates and everything seems to be working fairly well. We've had pretty good compliance from the letters and the banging on the doors and chatting with people. So we did the review of the truck tender. You obviously saw that. Help with the neighboring CAOs. Oldman is redoing their animal bylaw to be more, give them some teeth on the dog side of things. Water restrictions with Carmagay because they implemented quite strict restrictions, and they're now loosening them off as our reservoir is in as good a shape as it's been all year. So we're back to full capacity at 100%. Nels and Stu have had contact with Mark, who controls the dam, and says that we're not anticipating any issues. So, and then Champion CAO has resigned, and they're looking for another CAO. So that almost should be a once every couple of years. I should just keep that in my report. Derek, he was at the last communications meeting down there.
Oh, I was there.
Younger fellow. But yeah, and we don't have enough meetings to get to know the CAOs very well in January. So, but I worked with him quite a bit. And got some of that. We had a pretty good working relationship, so he's going to be missed down there as well. So, community members, we're getting a lot on the weeds. We did. Probably all saw the Facebook post. We had some vandalism. Again, it was cleaned up right away, and the RCMP was informed about it. Some sewer issues in a couple different places in town, and again, our relining's going to work on that. We had various council member inquiries, IT is a normal thing, bylaw questions with the changes that we were making, and obviously just updates on the town hall meeting and feedback that we received from that. My formal meetings of interest were the town hall and the special meeting for the MPC. Because of what's coming with the MPC, I did send out an email so that you guys were aware of some of the I guess the permits that hopefully are pending for detached dwelling, and so the MPC has decided to move forward with making a recommendation to council when we come to the next meeting that will allow for this in the land use bylaw to accommodate it with a series of conditions that will protect the town and the residents from what these detached dwellings could be. But of course, need some time for Horst to put that together, and so it'll be coming hopefully to our next meeting. As we do one bylaw amendment, we start on the next. So those are the meetings that I attended. I apologize that I did not sign this copy.
Anybody got any questions for Kim? If not, somebody wish to move in? Barbara? Any discussion on Barbara's motion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. Those in favor? It is carried. Moving on.
Not even looking that way.
Oh, Will. What is your motion?
I'd like to make the motion to adjourn.
Okay, Will moves that we adjourn. Thank you very much. Any discussion on this motion? Hearing none, no questions.
I was gonna say-
We're officially adjourned.
These things we should all vote against it.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for coming. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
You're welcome. Thank you.